welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, how are you?
I'm in my heaven, so I'm perfect. We are at Hakes Cakes, and there's a lot to discuss. So we'll start with introductions.
All right.
How are
I'm
you?
Stephanie Hake. I'm good. How are you?
Real
Sorry. I'm Stephanie Hake. I'm 24, going to be 25, and I'm the owner of Hakes Cakes.
That's ridiculous.
So, before we dive in,
Yes.
did you choose cakes because it rhymed with Hakes? Or did you just like cake because of Hake? Or how did that start?
Honestly, it all happened in like middle school. I realized that Hake rhymed with cake, and I've always known I've wanted to be a baker for some reason. I don't know. It runs in my family, actually, which we'll get to. But after that, I was like, oh, Hakes Cakes. And we had like projects throughout like high school and middle school where like you can do like fake businesses. And that's what I always did. And then I also really do love cakes. That's my specialty. So it kind of just really worked out in my favor.
Perfect. All right, we got our answer. We can wrap it up. We're done.
Yep. All right, take care.
That's all I really wanted to know.
Nice meeting you.
See you later. So where did you go to school?
So I went to Orchard Park High School. Then I went to Niagara Falls Culinary Institute for college.
Okay.
Yep. So I went 2014 all through Orchard Park, and then went to associate's degree for baking and pastry at Niagara Falls. And it was a really cool program. You do like your normal classes, and then you do like baking theory, and then like all your labs, which are like the hands-on stuff, which is the best part of the whole program because you just get to make food, bring it home, and eat it.
Do you get, like, in that program, do people critique your baking, or how does that work?
Yeah, so like the way it's like set up is you're in the classroom, there's like tables, and you have a partner throughout lab, and you like get recipes and you learn them through class. Like you have one teacher at the front, and they have like cameras and everything, so you learn, and you all make your own recipe, and then at the end like she'll like critique it, and then for your finals you basically are on your own. You can't talk to anyone, like nothing, and you just have your recipes. You have to make your whole thing, and then they judge you on everything on it.
So it's a greatest British baking show.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a 2-year program?
Yeah, so baking
Okay.
and pastry there is 2 years. You can go for culinary for 2 to 4 years. I wish it was 4 years just because I loved it so much I would have done it. But I think that pretty much everything you can learn is in those 2 years, which we learned everything, so it worked.
Okay.
So you really did want to do this from a young age?
Yeah.
There wasn't, like, did you ever think about doing anything else? That or something? I don't know.
No, I'm not good at that stuff at all. If anything, I was very into math and music, so either like teaching or something along those lines, but probably I was like maybe a teacher. I don't know. I just love music, so that would have been something.
That's so cool.
It's kind of neat, too, because in a sense you gave yourself the opportunity to teach other people how to bake, employees,
Yep.
and then you can just play music in the background. So
You got it.
You did it.
Yeah, we love it.
So when was the first time you made a cake by yourself? I'm assuming growing up you helped your parents make.
Yeah, so we did birthday cakes and stuff, obviously like from bake box mixes and stuff when you're growing up. Then probably like middle school's where I started to find recipes and stuff and try it out. And then like when you're with your grandparents, they usually have like recipes from their great grandparents, so we go over there and make like cookies with grandma or something. Other than that, I think like high school is probably where I started to do my own stuff and would bring stuff in for like school, like classroom stuff, like birthdays and stuff. Sorry, I just said stuff like 14 times.
Well, it's kind of a lost art making cakes. I feel like people just go to Wegmans and buy a cake.
Yeah, so that's like the struggle here for sure, because you have to pre-order cakes here because it's just me who's doing them all, decorating and everything, and it takes a lot of time, so I have to schedule out, so I'm not overbooked. That's the hard thing. People come in, especially because it says cakes right in the title, and they'll be like, okay, do you have a cake when they walk in? And I'm like, I'm sorry, you have to pre-order. I try to post it everywhere so people know, but I'd say that's probably the most misconstrued thing right there is that people think you can just walk in, grab a cake right away, but that's not how we are. We're just very specialized in cakes, so you can pretty much get any type of cake. We do weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, every event in between. Done some divorce cakes, those are interesting.
Divorce? What?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Some people have you know how they have bride and groom toppers? They'll have the one that's pushing the other one off the edge of the cake.
Oh my God.
Yeah. People are interesting.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, everything's a thing in the cake world. You find a lot of stuff out.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
they're essentially celebrating the divorce?
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
I mean, it is a celebratory thing. If someone's getting a divorce, it's never for it's they're breaking it up because it didn't work. So it's a good thing. Like when someone gets a divorce, you never are like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, no, like this is good because we're not together anymore. We shouldn't be together.
In a sense.
Sometimes I feel like some are like, maybe like one person doesn't want the divorce and all of a sudden like they got cheated on or something, and then all of a sudden they're divorced because of that.
But then again, the divorce was a good thing because you were a cheater. That's what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah, we'll find the silver lining in that off camera. Goodness.
Well, there's always a silver lining.
We'll get you engaged and we'll go from there. So back to you.
Yeah.
So now how did this whole operation start? You said there was an aspect with your family, which we'll get into later. So that later is now.
Okay.
So we'll start there, and then we'll kind of grow into where we are.
Yeah. So my I could go all the way back to my great grandparents. So on both sides, technically, I had a little bit of baking. So my great grandpa on my dad's side, he used to do like cakes and everything, and that's where my uncle learned it from, who I'll get to in a minute. But my great grandpa used to do cakes and everything, and then he used to also do the like displays for ice cream shops. Like when they were going by the windows, you'd see like the fake ice cream cones. Like he would do all that type of stuff, which is a whole another job, which is really cool. But he would do that, and then on my other side, the rolls and everything, they were bakers too, like on the grandma side. Then my uncle, he's a baker, so he actually works at ECC, so he went to a bunch of different schools. I'm pretty sure he went to Chicago for culinary school, but he now teaches baking and pastry, and he's also done culinary too, but that's who made all my birthday cakes when I was growing up, and like he's just a huge role model for me. So I always had it in my blood, I say, but that's who I go like base everything off of. And then when I graduated, that's how I went to school, and then I just kind of started the business off from there. I actually started out of Joseph's Catering Service in Depew, so I used to work there catering, and then I started to get the business because it started to grow after college, and I asked them if I could rent like their kitchen when they weren't using it because I didn't have enough money to open a place, and they were like, sure. So I'd go in at night when they were done using it. And it's still like you have to start your business and have like all the health permits and everything, which was very interesting to learn that young. And then
how old were you at that time?
Let's see, that was two years ago, 2017.
Okay.
So
wow.
Yeah, I can't do the math right now.
That's a lot though. That's a lot to put on you at that age.
So 21, 22?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, so it's definitely a lot to learn, and like you really. I wish there was like a book for it because that was super hard to like just go in and like. You really find out that the system really does not help you at all, which is hard because you're like, there were tears and lots of frustration because you go to a building and be like, nope, that's not here, and they wouldn't really help you out. So thankfully I met a good few people along the way that got me to where I am, where I got everything legalized and everything. Then I worked out of Joseph, saved up enough money, built a nice client base, and then last year at Thanksgiving, so about a year ago today, I was looking at places, and my friend's mom's a realtor, and she helped me out because I also usually worked about 2 other jobs on top of doing the business, so it'd save money and everything. And then she found these places. There was this place and another place in Hamburg, and this is the area I wanted to be in, so we came, looked at it. In a day, we like measured everything out, me and my dad. It happened to all fit perfectly, and then we signed the lease, and here we are.
Where are we at?
9 East Union Street in Hamburg.
Okay.
That's amazing.
That happened quick.
Yeah, it was real fast. I remember telling my family on Thanksgiving last year, hey, everyone, so I signed a lease on a building, and here we go. And it was really fun.
Well, happy 1 year.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I know. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So have you built out more equipment here to account for a year of growth, or is it pretty much the same?
Nope, this is exactly the same. So I technically opened in March, so from, Thanksgiving to March was like the whole reconstruction of this place, which was also a whole nother journey. So I have pictures that I'm going to post actually this year, like around Thanksgiving to show, but it was an office space beforehand, so there was nothing like certified. So we had to like get all the permits, do all the construction, find all the workers that are like in your price range. Like basically this place had like holes in the ceiling. We had to put plumbing in through all the floors, so there was just stuff everywhere. And then my friend, I actually had him, he built the tables, he built the countertops, had countertop people, and the other thing was getting all the equipment in, which was nuts. It was like everything you see was like trying to fit between the store behind me, and it was me and my dad pushing these things, and thankfully I had some family members come in, and we have to like lift all the ovens, which are 480 pounds a piece on top of one another, so it's just a lot. But it was worth it, and then we opened in March, and here we are.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Just
a lot.
nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
Wow. So where do you, for people that don't know literally anything, right? What's your supply chain? Like, where do you get ingredients? How do you come up with all these different things that you need? Like, you sprayed what we're about to have. Like, what was that?
So that's edible
hairspray.
glitter.
Just hairspray.
Just my secret right there.
Yeah.
So that's edible glitter. We actually get that from a company online. I'm blanking on the name right now. I can put it in the notes later. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, they do like a bunch of different colors and everything, and it's kind of like our thing, I guess. I love glitter. I have such an obsession of it, and I just am lucky I can bring it into the food because it is edible. Like you saw, it's literally a powder, and it's probably still floating in the air, but it's super nice. Other than that, I go through Tarantino's for like most of my bulk stuff, and then we also go to like Restaurant Depot for some of this stuff. Yep.
Love Restaurant Depot.
I know, it's
That place
fun.
is amazing. Absolutely. So how many employees work with you?
So it's mostly me. I have one actual employee, Nicole, which is who you met, and then my family, my mom and my dad, they'll come after their jobs on like the weekends and stuff to help me with dishes and like do stuff like that. And it's actually, I'm going to be hiring my cousin, actually, Miles, so he's gonna be working with me, which will be nice through the holiday season.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you need help through the holidays.
Yeah, we actually, like, it was a blur the first few months of being open. It was just me and then, like, my parents helping me. I had friends that definitely helped me throughout it, volunteering their time and everything, which was super awesome because I have a really good, strong friend group and everything, so I wouldn't be here without my friends or my family. But that whole first month when it was just me, it was, like, wild. I was pretty much here for, like, almost a whole day. At one time, I think I went home, which is like 20 minutes away, slept for 30 minutes, and then came back just so I could get everything done in time. So it's typically what a day looks like. It's calmed down a lot now since I have help, but still I'm usually working about like 20, 22 hours a day, some weekends, mostly the weekends.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with the product that you're making, there is like a display case right here, and we're sitting at tables. Are people able to come in and grab food and eat it here, or how does that work?
So since like everything, we aren't allowed to have people staying in, but we do have like 4 seats inside. But a huge thing was we have the tables outside, which people can sit at a lot. So during the warmer weather, people use those a lot. But most of the time, it's a lot of like cash and carry. So people will come in, grab their goods, and then just go, which is fine with me because it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, post college, and you've baked basically your entire life. Are you very critical on certain things where if you make a cinnamon bun, you have to prove it for 40 minutes at this point, and then once you form it in the container, then you're going to prove it again for 20 minutes, use a certain towel, or like what? Do you have like corks?
I do not. I don't know what that is actually. Corks?
Yeah, just like things that
okay.
bother you,
Never
or
mind.
like little pet peeves.
Yes,
or...
I do. I get what you're saying. Sorry. I thought you meant like cork boards, and I got...
Oh, no.
I thought it was a new baking thing I didn't know about, so I apologize.
No, you're just popping bottles of wine.
Yeah,
all
I
day
was like,
'cause you need
honestly,
cork.
that'd be fun. Yes, no, I do. My mom tells me and my friends tell me I'm my worst critic because I'm very hard on myself, and I'll be like you said, if something's... I'm very good about, like, now I've done it so much, I know, like, usually the exact times things need to, like, do, and you can see if it's, like, needs longer proofing or something, especially with the buns. They became pretty popular, so I have that down to, like, a science now. But, yeah, I would say specifically with cakes and, like, new products I'm trying, I'll, like, gauge a lot of opinions from my friends and family and, like, just really pick their mind about it. But I am the type of person, if, like, let's say I do a cake and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's, like, okay, and, like, other people are like, wow, if there's, like, one thing wrong with it, I will never forget it. I will never like that cake ever. So I'm really bad that way.
Do you test everything out?
Like, trying everything and everything? Yeah. So usually, like, I'll test out new recipes out. We'll, like, make a batch, try it, and then, like, if it, like, passes our tests, then we'll put it out. And then usually from there, we know what it's like, but you always try a little bit of everything just in case something went wrong. that time. Yeah.
So what would you say you're known for, or what is your favorite thing to make?
I would say we're known for either boxes or cinnamon rolls at this point, and cakes. But besides the cakes, I would say cinnamon rolls have definitely taken on a name of their own here. My favorite thing to make, I would say cupcakes or cakes. Like those are I just could do them forever and never get tired of them. They're so much fun.
Very technical question for you.
Okay.
At least in my world. But when you make a product, say it's a cake, a lot of people look at it and say, like, that doesn't look like a cake at all. Like the famous beef on white picture.
Yep.
Right? So most people are like, the decoration on that's incredible, but the cake also has to taste good. So how do you find the balance between the sponge being the correct,
He's been dying to say that since we got into the car.
So,
I want to ask about
because
sponge.
it's a big thing. Like you probably got critiqued all hell on that in college, right? Like if the sponge is too dry, then it's not going to taste good or whatever. So how do you balance the moisture of the sponge to then know that the cake is going to taste okay, so that you can focus on the decoration part of it?
See, it's kind of been a really good thing. Again, it's a lot of feedback from customers at this point that I take just throughout the year. So like right out of college, maybe in college, I did like cakes for like my really close friends and my family, and then you kind of have like recipes from school, or you'll like find recipes wherever. There's so many places, and then like kind of like try them out. So like let's say I was in college and I did some, and like maybe I'd be like, okay, this white cake's a little too dense and could be better, so I'd find a new recipe. I'd try that out on the next person, and then they'd be like good feedback, so you keep trying it until like eventually I found obviously my chocolate and my white cake recipes that are like the best feedback I've gotten, where they're the good texture, they're good taste. And then at that point, so it's been like probably like 2 years now or more that it's just been solid, and like the feedback hasn't changed, so that's how I know it's still good. And then the decoration just comes out.
Now, has this grown to a point where you use specific brands of ingredients, where you want this kind of flour or this kind of vanilla extract or whatever?
Yeah, so it's definitely, because, those things make a huge difference in taste and everything. Yeah, I typically stick with the larger names, but also coming into this and not like going to just like Wegmans or Tops for your ingredients anymore, you kind of have to shift into new brands that you haven't heard of, like especially from Tarantino's. Like they're outsourcing from, I'm pretty sure they do local places, but they're outsourcing from new names you haven't heard. Some are still bigger, like Sugar Still Domino's and everything, which is the brand I use for sugar. But like flours and stuff, they kind of alternate. So it was interesting to like just see the difference, and like even like the new ovens here bake things completely different than the ones at like home or at the ones I used at Joseph's. So
that was my next question. So what was the conversion time to like figure out how your ovens bake?
So my uncle helped me with this one, which sounds silly because I should have known this, but at Joseph's I used like, and I always get this messed up and I should know this, you know, there's convection and then conventional.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the one that is the fan, which I'm pretty sure is convection. All my baking people are probably like, you're the worst right now, because I
think that's right.
I think so. But the one basically like you have at home where the heat comes from the bottom, that's what I used at Joseph's, and because that's how I always baked at home and everything beforehand. So that's totally different than the one I have now. I have like also all electric and not gas, which is different for me. But when you use convection versus conventional, you like change your temperature 50 degrees less. So like let's say you're baking 350, you would bake your oven you would put your temperature at 300. So that was a huge change, because at Joseph's they did have these types of ovens, and I would always like, use it. And what would happen is the top would burn, but the center would be liquid. So I always used to forget that I couldn't use those, and I never understood like the difference until I was here, and I was like, I'm nervous to use these, to my uncle, and he was like, oh, it's because you have to put the temperature down 50 degrees. And I was like, that definitely would have helped so many times.
That is so interesting.
It's like, cool, where were you?
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So going back a little bit to the feedback process, how do you solicit feedback? Do you reach back out to them, or what is that process like?
You call us, we show up, we eat.
That's it. That's honestly right there. What you said is what most people do, like especially friends and family. They're just like, you need to try anything, just bring it to us, we'll eat it. Because obviously most of my friends and family love sweets, so works out in my favor. Like I said earlier, I'm not a huge fan of sweets, but I know if it's a good product or if it's not, at least. But with like Clients, typically I'll try to reach out if I can, especially when it was starting up. I'd be like, hey, just checking in. But honestly, most of the time people would send like pictures and be like, hey, this cake was great, like good flavor, great texture. When I started here, a lot of people would come back in like regularly and they would be like, wow, like this like texture of this red velvet cake was great, like good job. And then they'll like ask for it again, or same with that. They're like, so I get it. Just a lot of people come back with their feedback naturally, which is really nice.
Do you have any people leaving like online feedback at all?
Yeah, like I get reviews on like Google and Facebook and stuff, people, and then there's like the community page on Facebook too, also Instagram, pretty much any social media thing. They're very good about just like leaving comments. Like I'll post a cake that I might have done like a few months ago, and then the person will comment and be like, oh yeah, this cake was awesome for my husband's birthday. Like, cool. Thanks again, the taste was great, and like also the look was wonderful. So that's how I kind of gauged I got the taste down first, then like I know I had like the craft to like hone for the artistic side of it. So then combination just works, because typically you do either find out you get really nice looking cakes that can taste bad, or like really good tasting cakes but the look isn't there. So thankfully I'm somehow right in the middle, which is good.
Knock on wood, of course. So what other products do you offer? You have cinnamon buns, cakes, cupcakes.
Yep. So those are the main things. We do scones, which are really popular. We do cookies, not like decorated cookies, because that's a huge thing. I always get asked. Those are not my forte at all. So I have people I refer for those. But we do like dessert cookies, like chocolate chip, peanut butter. We try some like weird flavors. We do boxes, which are pretty popular. Actually, Buffalo Burger Brothers, they sell our boxes off their truck, which is really cool. But basically it's like a box about this big, and it's filled with like crumbled up cake layers, frostings, fillings, and different toppings throughout it based on like the flavor. So like there's a fun Oreo box, which is funfetti cake, Oreo buttercream, Oreo pudding, Oreos, sprinkles, and all that. And then we top it with like glitter and everything. And you just eat it with a spoon. It's kind of like the cinnamon roll boxes, but yours just cinnamon rolls with strawberries. It's good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's delicious.
Can I please try this?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Get in there.
I'm ready.
So, while he's gnawing on that, with making cakes, there's a lot that I thought you were going to feed that to me at first, and I was super concerned, but you were going around the microphone. So, I mean, not that I wouldn't eat it, but so when you're looking at cakes, you have not only like the quality of the cake itself, but the decorations on top. Mm-hmm. Are you good at like writing with frosting? I did that for a little bit at Tops when I was a manager, but I did that back when I worked at Tops. Like I would have to do that for customers, and man, I looked like I just took a ton of coffee and I was shaking all over the place. So how do you do that?
Oh boy. So I am like horrible at writing, and like if you saw my writing right now, you'd be like, wow, is there a 6-year-old boy in here? Because it's so bad. I was super bad at writing on cakes. Like, it used to take me forever, and, like, you would be able to tell from, like, me versus my coworker, like, oh, yeah, she wrote on that cake. It was not good. But thankfully, like, doing so many cakes here recently has, like, really helped me with it. So what I found the tips is it's all about the pressure you're putting on, and, like, you can take your time, because I used to just be, like, and just write it real quick, and then that's when you're, like, just have, like, the normal lines. You're supposed to, like, put it pretty much near your cake, which I also highly suggest to refrigerate it before you write on it, because then it's hard. If you like mess up, you can scrape it off real quick without like denting it. But definitely the pressure, and like typically when I pipe, I'll hold my hand like this is a piping bag, and you use this hand as like your like guide almost, so your hand's not like just free shaking or whatever.
It's definitely a learning curve, because when you're writing, you're anchoring your arm to something. When you're on a cake, you can't obviously do that. Same with like a chalkboard. So it's difficult to get that muscle memory down to write happy birthday and have it be legible. Have you ever spelled something wrong?
Oh, yeah. We all do, but thankfully I'll have people like check. They'll be like, oh, this is wrong. Most people typically get happy birthday, so I'm good with that. I used to be I'm not good at writing. Like, I'm not good at English at all. It's a downfall of mine. But like anniversary used to get me. It's super easy now, but like it used to be when I'd like forget an N or something. I don't know. But I'm pretty good at spelling out, like really triple check all the names. That's a hard part, is if you like get a phone order for like a specific name and it's like not like John or something, you're like, all right, and you like triple check it. One time though, I did do like cookies. I thought the person's name was whatever. It was a boy's name. And she came in and she was like, I was like, okay, like everything's spelled correctly. And she was like, no, like that's not his name. So it was easy enough to just scrape off and write the kid's name. I was like really close, but it was a different name. Other than that, I'm pretty good now.
Even John is spelled different ways.
I was just going to say the
I
same thing,
know.
yeah.
So you really have to ask people. Like, I had this one, and she was super happy, though, because it was a real interesting name. It was like O-N-E-A. There were a few other letters, but it was like something like that. I don't even know how to say it. But she said, like, if you get this right, you'll be the first person ever to get her name right on a cake. So thankfully she came, and I did it right. So she's like, the girl will be really happy. But you really have to be careful with spellings of names.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's intense.
That would stress me out.
Yeah.
I know,
And-
seriously, I'd be sweating all over on top of the cake. I'm like, I can't even serve this anymore. Like, I literally ruined it.
Sweated it.
But even like, so outside of names and writing with the frosting, there's
Mm-hmm.
all the flour stuff that you just push, and people make it on TV look so easy, but it
Yeah.
is not that easy.
It's definitely, well, like the cake classes that I used to teach, like those are pretty fun if you want to come join, because we teach you right there. And like flowers are a huge one. Flowers are super hard. It took me forever to do those because I'm not. Do you like it?
Oh my God, it's so
Okay,
good.
It's literally the perfect blend of cinnamon.
Yay! Happy to hear that.
And it's caked through, or it's baked throughout. There's no raw edges. The center's baked through.
This kid makes cinnamon roll once.
Just call
and
me
now
Paul
he's-
Hollywood. No problem.
I love it.
Okay, so yeah, back to your
Sorry,
cake thing.
yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to
No, you're
make
okay.
sure that you talk about that. So you hold cake seminars, baking seminars?
Yeah, so it's basically like I did them at my previous jobs. Like that's how I'm pretty good at them. We used to do like kids cake classes and adult cake classes. You just like would teach them on like a small cake or cupcakes, like whatever the theme would be. But I did like private ones like when I first started for like couples and stuff, and then like I've done a few for like classes with like kids and adults, and basically you have a class of like 12 or something, you prep everything for them, and then they come in, you teach them how to like fill, frost, and decorate the cake for that theme, and you just teach them everything from like A to Z.
Now, that's, first of all, that's amazing. But for filling a cupcake or a donut, is that a feel? So you don't blow it out the other side?
So
You just go ham?
it's actually funny. You can feel like the weight of it because we actually did donuts at my previous job. I don't do donuts here, but yeah, you can like feel it because we used to have to fill like I can't say it, the word.
Bavarian cream?
Yeah, that. But what's the Polish donut? They're like super popular at Easter. It starts with a P. My job would be my
I'm
previous job.
Irish, so we just drank.
Oh, Same here.
See, that's what I do. I just spill my drink.
Oh, whatever they are. Punchki, I think they're called. They'd be super mad at me right now. They don't know
Potchkies?
this.
Is that
Yes,
something?
that's it.
Is it?
There's like 14 ways to say it. That's he's beating you on this.
No
He's a
idea.
savant.
But yeah, you can basically feel it. You have to have a piping bag. You have to really make sure it's in the hole, and then squeeze it until like you can feel the weight of it. If anything, it doesn't come out the other side. Really, I've only seen it come back out the hole that you're putting
Yeah.
in, and then you just know it's filled. With cupcakes, they're pretty easy. Like if you wanted to fill this, you would just take a knife, and they have like weird tools, but all you need is a knife. You just cut it, and then you could just take a piping bag of whatever filling you want and squeeze it in. You see when it's like at the top.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we talked about the divorce cake, which went on a crazy side rant. But what other cakes have you made that you never would have thought that you would make?
Oh boy, yeah. Honestly, oh my gosh, I don't know. I've done so many cakes. Like I said, like there's so many occasions. I would say honestly, like the most recent ones I've done, like I love doing like that type of stuff, but like the beef on wet cake and like the giant cannoli and stuff, those are like, you don't really, those are the cakes I love to make, but you don't get orders for that. Like weekly, you just kind of get like happy birthday cakes and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Do you get like dog cakes and all?
Yeah,
Like
actually.
pet cakes?
So we do those here too if anyone needs a dog birthday. But yeah, so they're actually like tinier, but some do go like all out for their dog, which is cool. We did one that was like 2-tiered and it was like purple and glittery, which you have to make sure everything's like dog friendly too, but it's really cool, and we make like homemade dog treats and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, you could eat the cake too, honestly. It's not that bad. It's like a carrot cake, but for dogs.
Wow.
So offline we're going to talk because my dog's birthday is coming up.
Oh, there we
So
go.
it's going to be a full thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So where can people find you, too, on social media? What are your handles, as the kids say?
On Instagram, it's the @Hakes Cakes, all one word, no apostrophe. On Facebook, it's Hakes Cakes, like it's written, so HAK'S Cakes. And then Google, just type in Hakes Cakes, like I just spelled, and there I am.
So it's HAAK. It's not HAKES.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're...
Another name that has to be spelled correctly. Otherwise, people will just be driving around
Yeah,
trying to find
a
you.
lot of people, they'll come in and they'll say, oh, this is going to be hard for me to say because I can never do it. It's Haaks Cakes. That's what most people think it is.
Haaks?
Yeah. Or Haaks. So people come in, they're like, oh, this is Haaks Cakes. And I'll be like, oh, Hakes Cakes. And then they're like, oh, because, like, Haaks does not sound, you don't want to go
Not at all.
there.
Well, yeah, if I was to guess the name of this, I would, actually, we did, because I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I would say that it would be Hakes just because it makes more sense.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's not what you get all the time.
No kidding.
Do you have a website or anything?
Yeah, so just on Google, you search us, and then there's a little website button. I don't know the actual, like, website handle. It's a weird one. It was, like, a free Google one.
Sure.
Because don't have money for
It's tough.
yeah.
So how do people place orders with you? Is it through the website or can they do it through Instagram?
Basically anywhere. I take them through Instagram. I take them through Facebook. People call. People walk in. People will text me. Email, I will say, don't do if anyone's listening to this. I used to be, like, really, I used to have a lot coming through email, but with all those other ones, like, I'm more present on those, so email I, like, rarely check, like, only for, like, business stuff, and then I'll, like, see cake orders that might have come through, because I try to take it off most of my things unless someone only has Gmail, like, if they're older,
Sure.
Or email, and then that's, like, the hardest one. So that's been, like, a struggle because I try to really pay more attention to that, but sometimes I just miss orders and I feel really bad. But I'll respond, like, I'm super sorry, I don't use this. Most of the time, they'll, like, if they don't hear back from me, they'll call or come in, which I really appreciate that they do that.
Nice. So they
Yeah.
follow up too?
Yes, which
Okay.
is good. Sometimes they don't, and then, like, you might hit them, like, the day before, and then they could be like, oh, I still need a cake, and then I'll fit them in because I feel so super bad that I, like, didn't see it. But most of the time, they'll follow up themselves, which I really appreciate.
Speaking of that, what is the standard, quote-unquote standard lead time on certain things?
Well, for me, I typically ask for a week, and sometimes even then it's too late. Like, it just depends. Certain weekends are, like, crazy, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You'll be like, I'll be fully booked, like I can't take any more orders because we still have to bake that morning for the cake. So you have to do all that baking, then you have to do your cake baking, then you have to take time through the day to decorate all the cakes, which basically is me doing that, but I'm also taking care of all the customers and everything, so I'm kind of doing everything, so that's why I'm usually here all the time. So that's why I try to limit it, but I'm super soft sometimes, and I'm like, oh, like, you need a cake? All right, I'll fit you in, and then I'm just here later, which is fine by me, because I'm happy that I can fit them in. But sometimes, like Thanksgiving this week, it's, like, super booked, so I had to cut it off.
Have you ever had somebody reach out for a cake to be done and they give you free reign to do whatever you want?
Some people, yes. It's different. If they give me, like, just a general theme, like, they, like, basically if all I need is, like, a color and, like, maybe, like, a theme of their party, and then if they get free reign, it's good. But the tricky thing about that is you really have to, you can kind of gauge off the person who comes in. If they say, like, oh, yeah, it's, like, whatever, up to you, you can tell right away if they're going to be fine with whatever you give them, or if you can tell, like, oh, no, you know, if you give them something just like whatever you come up with, they won't like it. So if I can tell it's that type of person, I'll kind of be like, all right, well, have you looked into anything that to see what you like? And then they'll say, oh, yeah. So then I'll be like, oh, why don't you send me those reference pictures, and I can go off of that. And then at least I know the direction their brain's going versus, like, if they told me that and I just did whatever, you would be able to tell when you show them the cake, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it's,
finding out that they have allergies or something after.
yeah, thankfully that's never happened. I'm always like, please tell me if you have allergies before, because it's super, that stresses me out, because, like, I tell everyone we are not I'm not an allergy-free bakery. Like I said, I will do gluten-free, I will do dairy-free, I will do nut-free, but I said there's always a chance of contamination. I say I take as many precautions as I can. Like, I'll do them first. I'll sanitize everything all the time, but I'll, like, triple sanitize everything. I will make sure nothing's even around it. But you need to, like, tell me, or else I won't even know. But there's still always that chance. that something could happen, because again, I do tell everyone right away, I'm like, just so you know, I'm not a full gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free bakery. And everyone's pretty cool, because most of the people, they won't come here if it's like super strict where they can't be like in the same air or anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about cakes, like the filling of them, some people get raspberry and strawberry filling. How does that work? I feel like that has to be difficult to do.
Like, what do you mean?
Like a layered cake?
Yeah, so we do, every cake has a filling in it here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so basically it's more kind of like the structure of it, so you need that center filling because if you don't have it, your cake is just like sitting on cake, like nothing's holding it together really.
It's sponge on sponge, Derek. Okay? And you can't have sponge on sponge.
God.
Right?
I love that you say sponge, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, you can't. But a lot of people don't know that, honestly. So they'll be like, no filling. I'm like, oh, I'm super sorry. Like, you have to have a filling in there. It's just so the cakes, like, stick together or else.
So is that why you have to have filling, is just so it sticks?
Exactly. Because it's like you're
I
building
feel like
something.
I've done sponge on sponge at home when I was younger.
Well, then you were a loser. And it was just, you just don't do that.
So what is the, like, normal filling? Or the...
There really is no normal filling. That's why I also tell people there's no normal, like, cake or
getting
filling.
stressed out. I did not know this.
There's, like, a million options. So you can do, like, basically what I'll say. So let's say we're doing a cake order. I'll start off with you. I'll say, what flavor cake would you like?
Chocolate.
Okay, so then I'll go. So now you get a filling. You can do either buttercream, you can do jellies, or you can do whipped pudding. So I'll figure out which one you want first, and I'll go into options of flavors.
So jelly, whipped pudding,
Yep.
And what's the
or
other one?
buttercreams.
Buttercream. Interesting.
So like
Buttercream.
Okay, so we'll go with buttercream.
Brother. Thought
So-
this was my cake. Whipped pudding.
All right, we'll go into both options because most people ask for everything. So whipped puddings, you have a choice between chocolate whipped pudding, vanilla whipped pudding, or Oreo whipped pudding.
Oreo.
Oh, yeah. Oreo, for sure.
For
so just whipped pudding, is it as simple as that? It's just pudding that's, like, lighter?
Yep, so it's
okay.
pudding, and then we do, like, cream and milk with it. So then it whips it, and it's, like, kind of custardy, but it's not fully custard, but it's not, like, pudding, where it's, like, that liquidy. It's, like, whipped pudding. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So then what about the butter?
So then buttercream.
Buttercream? Sorry, I'm making you... Mike's dying over here.
No, it's
for
funny
some
because
reason.
she thought through it and she's like, it's just whipped pudding. Like it is what it is, Derek. And she looked at me because she's like, he gets it. Like I don't know how else to explain whipped pudding.
No, I get these questions all the time, so don't feel bad.
Oh my God.
I'm just so bad at explaining things.
I
I'll,
could
like,
never have
try.
this business because I would just stare at people.
Yeah, you
What
have
do you
to be.
mean whipped pudding? So, okay, the buttered... What was it?
Buttercream.
Buttercream?
Yeah, so you can do vanilla buttercream, which is like the basic, which most people frost it in. Then there's like chocolate buttercream, peanut butter buttercream, Oreo buttercream, raspberry buttercream, strawberry buttercream. You can do funfetti, which is sprinkles mixed in. You can do lemon buttercream, almond buttercream. Pretty much
literally everything,
anything, yeah. So that's kind of like what people get if they just like the frosting. Also, our frosting's like a totally different kind than what most people get. So that's also been a huge, like, not
Shift.
huge. Yeah, but also very interesting to get feedback on that. That's
Sure.
one thing we got feedback on like right away from everyone.
Can you go into that a little bit, or is that proprietary?
No, so our frosting, we use Swiss buttercream. So typically in like stores like Tops or whatever, and some like different other bakeries, they'll have like traditional option, or like most people do like Italian, or Swiss is what I see. So we do Swiss just because it's what works the best for me for decorating. And so Swiss is egg white, sugar, and butter. That's all that's in it. And there's like the different process you do, but it's like lighter. So you'll see when it's on here, that's what's on the cupcakes. But you'll kind of taste it. They should kind of be at room temperature now, or maybe in a few minutes. But it's like softer and like silkier, and it's not as sweet. Because when you think of buttercream, sometimes people think of like that super sugary, thicker like one that's on like the cakes from grocery stores usually. And that's traditional, which if you grew up with traditional, you like usually love it. But you have the opposite. Sometimes people hate it because it's too sugary. So they'll really like our frosting because, like I said, it's still like sweet, but it's not that super crazy sweet.
Sure.
And then, but that was like a huge thing right in the beginning. If people didn't know that we use Swiss, like they could either be like feedback would be like, oh, like, hey, like, did you put whipped cream on it is what we mostly get because it's like real light. And I'm like, nope, that's our buttercream. And then they're like, oh, okay, like, just was expecting the traditional kind, which is sweet. So that was like a pretty big thing in the beginning with like only like a few people. Most people, word of mouth spread that is like this type of frosting, so you'd have people come in just for these cupcakes, which was nice. Now I haven't had that in a while, so we usually tell everyone, like, just to let you know, it's Swiss buttercream. I have it posted on the medias and everything, so people pretty much know at this point. But definitely during those first few months, it was like people gain like a gauge on it and everything.
Sure. So you talked about how you just opened like a handful of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be premature, but what would next steps be for you? Are you looking at in the future expanding even more, or are you content kind of with this level of baking that you're doing? Caking.
She's like, I just want help.
Yeah.
So it's like super hard because I'm like, obviously, yes, I'd like help because it's a lot to like do on your own, and like it is nice when people help, but like I am the type of person that I like to do everything. So like it's definitely, even like having just Nicole help me, like it's a whole new perspective to me. I've worked on teams, I'm good with working with people and everything. It's just like I like to do like that's why I did this, because I like to do everything, but like I don't.
You reach a point where you just kind of have to.
Exactly. Yeah. But like when you find people that you know the quality they put out is the like yours, as me and Nikki work so well together. We have like the same mind. I know the product she puts out is like insane because she's amazing. So like we work super well together, and I'm like, she can do her own thing. Like it doesn't faze me because I know everything's going to be like to the quality I'd like it. So I guess that's a good part about if I do get more people down the road, which I think I inevitably will have to. Sorry.
Nailed it.
Trust me, it's like talking to me. I'm the same way.
I don't even know what I was saying. Sorry.
Like inevitably you'll get more people.
Yes, and then it'll be nice because you can train them, which will be good because then hopefully you can teach them like your ways. It's kind of good to get them like fresh out of college or something because you can kind of mold them versus having someone who has their own ways, like you know they're good, but they like it's hard to like train. What's that saying? Like an old dog, new tricks or something. Yeah, because like they just do things their way, and some people can't really adapt to learning that way. So it's nice to kind of get fresh people and like train them from that. But the hard thing with me right now is like I don't have the time to train people because like I'm trying to produce so much myself and get it out in like a timely fashion. So down the road, I definitely would like to probably expand a little bit. Maybe like more just for like indoor seating and stuff, and like have like more like quirky stuff and just another cute place. But I like love this. Like I love how tiny it is. Like I love what we can do with this space and everything. And then I think it'd be nice to have more people. Obviously, if it's bigger, it'd be nice. But
sure.
I'd love that.
Interesting. So public service announcement time. What do you hate that people do when they make their own cake? Because you're in such a niche. So what you're like, oh, I can't stand Bavarian cream or something like crazy. Like what do you hate when people do when they make their own cake? I'm kind of putting you on the spot. But we already talked about the sponge on sponge mic, so don't jump in.
Thank you.
But is there something, or you're just not really? Because everybody can do whatever they want to do.
Yes.
Like that's the beauty of cake is if you want to make something, you can do whatever you want to do, even if it is sponge on sponge. Cake is good, but like, are you somebody that doesn't like to add, I don't know, fruits or something? You don't, obviously, because we talked about your fillings, but
yeah. It's just hard because like my whole thing is like I do my things this way, and like I know everyone does their own things, and like I will send. If someone comes to me and I know I don't do that, I'll send them to like the specific person that will do that for them. And that's why I love baking so much in this field, because there's like a million of us and we all do the same thing, but we all do it so differently.
True.
So that's why I like love this field, because if I don't do it, I don't feel bad not taking their order just because I'm losing them. I rather give them to someone who is like doing what they want, that would do it for them for like the price that they like, and that person's getting that like recognition versus me just doing something to get money. That's not why I'm in this for.
Right.
So I'm trying to think though, because like my friends, they make desserts and stuff, and they always get so stressed when I'm like around them, because I'll be like sitting there. But like I honestly, if I'm not baking it, I'm like, you can do whatever you want. I am fine. I will eat it. Like I'll try their stuff. But they get nervous, and I'm like, don't be. I'm like, you do you. It's good. Like everyone just gets so stressed.
What are your thoughts on cream cheese frosting?
I like it. I love it because my actual favorite dessert that I like is a pumpkin roll, and it is cream cheese frosting. That's my favorite thing ever.
Where does cheesecake fall into the whole baking versus cooking debate? Is it more of a baking thing?
Yes.
It is? Mm-hmm. Do you do that here?
I do not, because it's like they're so finicky and like they take a lot of time, and they're not, again, like it's one of my things I'm not like cakes for me where I'm like 100% on it. So I rather send them to typically I'll send them to Dessert Deli. I used to work there. My uncle used to work there actually, but they do insane cheesecakes. They're super good there.
Interesting.
Because cheesecake is one of my favorite desserts to eat. I will eat
cheesecake.
Honestly,
you asked me earlier what my favorite is. It's cheesecake.
I think so too. BJ's. This is gonna sound really. Have you ever had BJ's cheesecake?
I have not.
You gotta. It is
See, that's a public
good.
service announcement right there. See, you fulfilled what I wanted you to do. That's huge.
Yeah.
Do you go to BJ's for cheesecake?
I do not go to BJ's for cheesecake.
Have you had it?
No. I've had a lot of cheesecake, but I've never specifically sought out BJ's cheesecake.
I didn't either. And then someone had it, and it was in the assorted tray. It's good.
Well, let's wrap this up. We'll
what are we doing after this?
I love it. I will always be down to eat cheesecake. Yeah, but no, honestly, the two places I really recommend, well, I don't always recommend, I usually recommend Dessert Deli for cheesecake. They're super good. If you like Oreos, do you guys like Oreos?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they do Oreo cheesecake, and it's crust and has tons of Oreos in it. Super good.
So since we're on the topic of things that you don't do, you said
Yes.
that you don't do cannolis or anything like that, right?
Nope. So I'll do cannoli filling and stuff for cakes, and that's pretty much it. I do cannoli cupcakes and stuff, but not actual cannolis, just because I don't make the shells and stuff, and I know you can buy them from other places, but I just do it in cake form.
Yeah.
What about pies?
Pies I only do during Thanksgiving because, again, they're not my niche at all. So, we have some pies over there for Thanksgiving, and I only offer the ones I'm comfortable with. So this year we did apple crumb, which is out of my comfort zone, but I was feeling a little wild this year, so we went with that. Typically, pumpkin and pecan are my go-to because you just make it, throw it in, and then it comes out and you're sweet. And then, other than that, I don't do pies. I do
What
offer
about a chocolate pie?
Huh? No.
Really?
Yeah.
That's super
Not
simple.
a
I
fan.
really don't like pies. The crust is just no. I hate it. But I do actually make a pie throughout the year. It's gluten-free. Now, stick with me through this whole thing. Ready?
Sure.
Gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, and plant-based. And you're already turned off, right?
Yeah.
No.
What am I eating, garbanzo beans?
No,
No,
just
it's probably an ice cube.
No, it's super good. Do you like chocolate peanut butter?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a chocolate peanut butter pie, but it is all those things. So the crust is all these nuts. It's super good. It's just chopped up nuts, flaxseed, and maple. That's all that's in it. So then your filling is, it's technically, well, it's not technically, it is tofu, right? Because I don't like silken tofu. Then it's dairy-free chocolate chips. And then nut butter, natural nut butter. So we do peanut butter, and you let's blend it. You pour it in, and then you put it in the fridge, and then you take it out, and it is so good. I don't even like peanut butter. I really don't like chocolate, but that crust, you could put anything in there. It's so good.
And it's a nut blend, you said?
Yeah. So it's I'm trying to think what's in there: almonds, walnuts, coconut. It's really good. And you guys will have to try. I wish I had one today. I would literally cut it open right now, but. You'll have to come back for it.
That's interesting.
It's my parents we're not, trust me, we are food people. We're nah, if we're not vegan or gluten, we're not doing that. You would not even know. My mom, I wish she was here right now, she'd be taking this microphone over. I'll tell you, I don't like dessert, but no, she loves dessert.
So you can do any type of whatever that, any type of dairy-free, vegan, any of that stuff you're pretty good at?
No.
No?
So,
Nailed it.
sorry.
Perfect. Wrap it up.
I know, I'm so sorry. No, so I'll do gluten-free stuff, and I'll do dairy-free stuff, but they are special order because, again, I'm not into, that's not what I do fully. But I do actually have a lot of people who order gluten-free and dairy-free, cupcakes and cakes. So I do that for, specialty order. It's just, I usually, a week and a half for that. And I do, gluten-free, dairy-free cookies. I'll do a pie. I have very, select items. I actually do, I'm pretty sure they're gluten-free cinnamon buns. I can't remember if they were dairy-free, too. I think I can do either, or vegan buns. But I do those. Those were pretty popular with the gluten-free people.
Sure.
Yeah, but I only really do it if they're specifically need it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that pie. I'm just kind of...
I'll have to drop one off for you guys for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Because I need the feedback. Look at your... I knew. That's why I normally don't tell people.
I'm just hesitant. I'll eat it. No shame.
Okay.
I'll slam it. But
I think you're going to be surprised. I don't put out things like that taste like trash, I guess. Because I don't think it's... Oops, someone just fell off the chair. I don't think it's... like, if it's not... Doesn't meet my, like, quality with my taste, because I'm not into any of that stuff either. I won't do it. And also, my gluten-free, like, cakes, a lot of people have ordered them for their family. They'll not tell the family it's gluten-free. They'll all eat it. They'll all rave about it. And then the people will tell me, like, gluten-free people, like, I didn't tell my family at all. And so I have really good recipes for those, which, again, through feedback, I've landed on. So I'm pretty good in the gluten-free department, I'd say.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because it is a massive market.
Have you ever watched Parks and Rec?
Yes. Sorry, I don't know why it took me a minute. Yes.
I just keep thinking of that time where Chris Traeger brought that fruitcake to the party, and Ron Swanson's like, not only does this thing exist, but now you're deprived all of us of cake. That's the only thing that's running through my head right now, but I will try it.
It's the food my food eats, but it's fine.
Trust me, I'm the same way. I will not eat it if it's not real, but it's good.
It's not real, even though it's an actual physical thing. You're like, it isn't real.
That she made. It's not real. It's just not there. So anything else that you want to point out about Hakes Cakes that we didn't talk about?
Not really. I guess just we're very welcoming. We love positive people. Like, we feed off of everyone's energy.
You offer coffee.
Yes. Our little K-cup thing over there.
It is adorable.
Thank you.
It's literally built into the wall.
Yeah, my friend...
We'll get a picture of it.
Took my vision, who built the tables for me and everything. He built that for me, so my vision came to life,
Sweet.
which is
That's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah. Other than that, I'd say that's it. Just we don't like negative people or mean people in here, and other than that, we welcome everyone, and we're just real quirky, we're real crazy, and we're just like family. Everyone becomes family when they come here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Of
Everybody
course.
go check out Hakes Cakes on all their social media and order a cake. You will not be disappointed.
Thanks.
Thank you.
She's like, yeah, more work.
No.
If you want to apply, hit her up too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
you.
guys.
Of course.